guys, welcome back to my channel, my podcast, Whispers of the Unseen, where we talk about all things true crime, paranormal, mysterious. I'm Jennifer, and I really want to talk to you guys about this case. It's really stuck with me ever since it happened back in September 2017. So this is the sad story of Lauren Hugelmaier and Matthew Phelps. They met in middle school, and after reconnecting on Instagram, they got close and eventually got married. Despite a seemingly happy exterior, their marriage had troubles. Matthew struggled with trust and had a mysterious past. Lauren worked hard, but financial issues and odd family incidents added stress. Eventually, the relationship took a dark turn. Matthew's behavior became disturbing, leading to a tragic night when he called 911, claiming that Lauren had been killed. The details reveal a story of hidden struggles, strange actions, and a terrible crime that shocked everyone involved. So let's get into it. Lauren Hugelmaier and Matthew Phelps first met when they were in middle school, while they were both living in Kentucky. They weren't close friends or anything like that, but they knew of each other. But years later, when Lauren had moved to North Carolina, both of them were 26 years old at this point, Matthew found Lauren on Instagram and sent her a request to follow her. He ended up liking every single one of her photos. They began DMing each other, texting, and calling each other, just becoming very close. They seemed to also have a lot in common. They were both obsessed with things like Star Wars and Harry Potter, all things they claimed were like geeky, which I love Harry Potter, so, that's okay. They became so close that Matthew decided to move to North Carolina to be with Lauren. One thing that really stood out to Lauren was how important God was to Matthew. Religion was extremely important for Lauren. She was very involved with her church and was even a youth group leader. She was so happy to find someone who felt the same way she did about God. Her family was very accepting of Matthew. However, Lauren's father, Dale, was a little bit more apprehensive, thinking that they just didn't know each other that well and that things were moving too fast. But this was a very close family, and they all wanted Lauren to be happy. So he tried to put his feelings aside. Every Tuesday night, they would have a family dinner, and Matthew would always attend. One night, Matthew shocked them all when they were playing 20 Questions, and he said that he had previously been married. He was extremely vague and didn't go into much detail, and the news really stunned her family. Matthew, still in his 20s, was very young to have already been married and divorced, and they were curious as to why things didn't work out. But again, Matthew was very vague about the whole thing, which, of course, just made them even more concerned. Why was he being so private about this? What was he hiding? In 2015, Matthew proposed to Lauren, and she joyfully accepted. They celebrated their engagement with a large party attended by both sides of the family, though it was mainly Lauren's relatives who attended. But Matthew's mom did show up, but it only seemed to cause a problem. She showed up to their engagement party wearing white. Everyone knows you do not do this. That is for the bride only. She also just seemed rude, and Lauren's family later said that she just didn't really seem to like Lauren at all. After the engagement party, Lauren went to Matthew and let him know how his mom had made her feel, and he was really just dismissive of the whole thing. He said that he wasn't very close with his mom, they didn't have the best relationship, and that he was raised by his grandmother. His dad was also never really in the picture, and his mom always seemed as if she didn't want him while he was growing up. When he was in high school, he got in with the wrong crowd. He began using drugs. One of them that he used the most often was cough syrup. Eventually, he transferred to a Christian school because his family thought that would help get him on the right path, and it seemed to do the trick. He began taking school seriously and then went on to attend Clear Creek Baptist Bible College in the hopes of becoming a pastor. In November 2016, they were married. They even had a Star Wars-themed wedding in Wake Forest, North Carolina. They included all the nerdy things that the couple both loved. There were even lightsabers and everything. They lived in a townhouse in Raleigh, North Carolina, not far from Lauren's family, and they had $10,000 in savings when they married, which is a really good start for a young married couple to have. When they got married, Lauren, being an extremely hard worker, was working several jobs. She was working as an auditor for a Fortune 500 company. She also worked as a babysitter, as well as in the church daycare. On the side, she also worked for an MLM called Scentsy. She even had a YouTube channel that's still up to this day where she would try and advertise her Scentsy business. Matthew worked with an in-home care company. He was even named Employee of the Month, but he seemed to begin struggling to keep a job. He worked a variety of different jobs. Eventually, he ended up working at a lawn care business. And like I mentioned before, he had hopes of being a pastor, which, of course, Lauren, being a strong Christian, was very proud of the fact that this is what he wanted to do with his life. So on the outside, things looked perfect. She would regularly update her Instagram, making it seem as if life was perfect and that they were happily married. However, on the inside, things weren't so perfect. It wasn't long after the marriage began that it began to have issues. Matthew was not very happy that Lauren had a close friendship with a male member of their church. But she reassured him that there was nothing going on between them and that she was committed to their marriage. He claimed that his then wife went on a missions trip and came back saying she didn't love him and that she had found someone else, and that had really messed him up. Not long after getting married, his personality also began to change. He went from being bubbly and happy to just more depressed and isolated. He just seemed unhappy. He became disinterested in going to church, which, as you can imagine, this really upset Lauren. His dedication to his faith was one of the main reasons that she fell in love with him. And he seemed to grow lazy, which really frustrated Lauren considering she was such a hard worker. Not only was he having trouble keeping jobs, he was excessively spending their money. He only seemed to want to play video games. Lauren complained to her sisters and mom that she was growing frustrated, that she was working so hard, and Matthew seemed to not want to do anything. Lauren felt overwhelmed, but she stayed committed to Matthew and wanted to make it work. By their 4-month wedding anniversary, Matthew had stopped going to the Tuesday night family get-togethers, and I imagine this would make Lauren feel pretty devastated, not only affecting her, but also her family, because it seems as if Matthew's just showing that he's disinterested in spending time with their family, especially when he knew it was something that was extremely important to Lauren. Another incident took place just 6 months after their wedding. They took a trip to Kentucky to visit Matthew's family. Before they left for the trip, Matthew's mom called Lauren to tell her that they were going to be doing a family photo shoot, and that her and Matt both needed to wear all blue. Turns out, when they get there, the theme was for all of the men to wear blue and all of the women to wear white. So Lauren was the only woman in blue. It kind of seems like her mother-in-law did this on purpose. However, it could have been a mistake, but with his mother's previous behavior, I wouldn't put it past her. Lauren's family said it was obvious that she did this on purpose and wanted to make Lauren feel left out. Well, Matthew's mom threw a huge fit over this and canceled the whole photo shoot and made the comment, "It's not my fault she can't remember things," referring to Lauren and the whole blue-white outfit situation. Lauren began calling her mother, often crying, suspecting that Matthew was stealing money from their Disney fund. She also believed he took money from her purse without saying anything about it. She let her mom know that she only had enough money to cover this month's bills. That $10,000 that they had in savings when they were married was completely gone. One evening after Lauren arrived home, she texted Matthew to let him know about what they were doing for dinner. She also let him know that earlier that day, a woman who claimed to work with him had knocked on their front door looking for him. Considering the state of her marriage, this concerned her. This made her decide to take a deeper look into his first marriage. Matthew and his ex-wife Brooke met in college. They dated for 2 years, got engaged, and soon married. Brooke would later say that Matthew cheated early on in their relationship. She forgave him. The second time he cheated was actually right before their wedding, and she ended up forgiving him for this and went on with the wedding. Unfortunately, right after the wedding, things took another bad turn, very similar to how things were going with Lauren. She was working full-time, he wasn't wanting to work. She accused him of spending money on things that they didn't have money for. Eventually, they just grew apart. Lauren let her family know that she had found out that it was Matthew who had done the cheating in his first marriage, not his ex-wife. And they decided to keep this little fact from her dad, knowing how upset he would be. But things only continued to worsen between Matthew and Lauren. Lauren discovered Matthew was once again spending money they didn't have. On their latest credit card statement, she found out he spent $1,200 on video games and $1,100 on gift cards. She decided that something needed to be done, but she couldn't do it alone. She got together with her family, and they decided that they needed to do a sort of intervention to help him with their budgeting. Her mother and sisters put together a plan to help them get back on track. And at this meeting, Matthew actually seemed as if he cared about it and was ready to get things back on track financially and back on track in his marriage. Their relationship and financial situation actually seemed to be improving. On August 31st, 2017, the same woman who previously came knocking on their door was back. And this was the coworker that I previously mentioned. and she was looking for Matt. Lauren was extremely upset by this, especially since they had just had the intervention and Matthew seemed to really want to work on their financial situation and their marriage. He then told Lauren that he was leaving with her, that she needed his help with something. Lauren was absolutely furious because she had been working hard on making them dinner and he was just going to go take off with some girl. Lauren repeatedly called and texted Matthew, but he never picked up or responded. Lauren called her sister to complain, saying that Matthew has completely messed up her life and that things were officially over between them. She also let her sister know that she had also let Matt know that things were done. Around 1 a.m. on September 1st, 2017, a call came into 911 from Matt saying he thinks he just killed his wife, claiming, "I had a bad dream and I turned on the lights and she's dead on the floor." The 911 operator repeatedly asks how, and Matt responds, "I have blood all over me and there's a bloody knife on the bed and I think I did it." He went on to say, "I can't believe this. I can't believe this." The 911 operator asked what time he had found his wife, and Matt responded that he didn't even know what time it is right now. The dispatcher asked if he was with the patient now, and Matt said, "Yeah, I can see her." They asked how old she was, and he says she's 29, she's not breathing. They asked if he thought that she was beyond help, and he responded with something rather odd, saying, "I don't know, I'm too scared to get close to her." Shouldn't you be the one trying to help your wife? He went on to say that he took Coricidin cough and cold because he knew it could help make you feel better, and a lot of times he can't sleep at night. He went on to cry and say there's so much blood. By the time the police get there, they find Matt standing on the front steps. He showed no emotion. He was very calm. They went inside, then they found Lauren on the bedroom floor, curled up in the fetal position, and she's holding on to clumps of her hair. Blood was absolutely everywhere. The floor, the walls, the bed. They rushed Lauren to the hospital. When she gets there at 1:45 a.m., she's pronounced dead. There they discovered that she had 123 stab wounds to her body. Crime scene investigators searched the house looking for any sign of something that could explain what had happened that night. While investigators were doing this, the police had the difficult job of contacting Lauren's family to inform them about what had happened. The investigators at the scene found a cough medicine box out in the open. Prosecutors would later say that Matt staged it. They used luminol and found that there was blood all over the bathroom, the sink, the walls, just everywhere in there. So he had clearly tried to clean all of it up. If he was drugged up on cough syrup, though, I don't think he would really be able to be in the frame of mind knowing that he needed to cover up a crime. Just my thought. When the police went to Lauren's parents, they got an odd response when they knocked on the door to Lauren's parents. Lauren's mom asked him if there was anything wrong with Lauren. The officer sadly said yes. She then asked if she was dead. He once again said yes. Then she asked, "Did Matt kill Lauren?" The officer asked her why she would ask that. She said she just knew. The officer then confirmed her feelings, saying, yes, Matt killed her. Her mom completely lost it. When they got Matt to the police station, they noticed he hardly had any blood on him at all, and they determined that he had tried to clean himself up, probably before he even called 911. Because if he stabbed her 123 times, he would certainly have a lot more blood on him. Despite having told police he took too much medicine, the police couldn't help but notice he seemed completely normal and coherent when speaking with them. They ended up doing a blood test on him, and the amount of cough syrup that he had in his system was more than a normal dose, but not enough to make you go incoherent and stab someone 123 times. The company who made the cough syrup actually came forward and said that there had been many studies done on their medicine, and acts of violence on this drug had never happened. It was discovered that Matt had been keeping a journal where he expressed himself by saying he didn't think he was good enough for Lauren, and that he didn't feel like he fit in with the rest of her family. During his interrogation, Matt let the officers know more about his previous marriage and how he had been unknowingly abusive, that he reportedly drug his wife out of bed. Later, speaking with the ex-wife, the cops were able to confirm this. She went on to say that he would often be abusive, push her down, and pin her on the floor. Investigators also ended up speaking with one of Matt and Lauren's neighbors, who Matt seemed to grow close with. They bonded over suffering from depression and anxiety. But after a while, things started to take a strange turn in their conversations. He began talking about really strange and disturbing things. He would talk a lot about death and unaliving yourself. She also made the comment that she had a concealed carry that she would often have on her, and that one time Matthew made the comment, you know, I could take that gun from you and kill someone with it. You know, typical conversation piece, right? For obvious reasons, she started to distance herself from Matt, just getting an odd vibe from him, and of course the things that came out of his mouth didn't help him either. He'd also let another friend know that he wondered what it would be like to kill someone. Prosecutors say that Matt had an obsession with the American Psycho. It's a movie about a serial killer. They were also able to discover a secret Instagram account that Matt had made. It was called Marty Radical. It was extremely disturbing and dark. There were pictures of Matt dressed up as Patrick Bateman, which is the main character from the movie American Psycho. He also had photos of the movie on his feed. He also had a lot of posts that were anti-Christian, lots of Satan and demon things, which is so strange considering he was telling everyone in Lauren's life that he wanted to be a pastor. It's like he was living a double life. Right before Lauren's murder, he made a rather suspicious post. The caption said, "Everyone thinks I'm a serial killer. Hashtag found an angel to kill." This was extremely incriminating and made Lauren's parents believe that he planned all of this from the moment he began talking to Lauren on Instagram. Prosecutors were also able to prove via Matt's internet searches that he had planned this out, that he had previously been looking up about the cough medicine, things like how much it could affect you, but keep in mind he had experimented with cough medicine in high school, so he already knew the effects of it. Autopsy revealed that Lauren was asleep on her side when Matt began stabbing her. After stabbing her once on her side, he rolled her over and stabbed her repeatedly in the face. There were self-defense wounds on her arm showing that she had tried to defend herself. His defense, well, they didn't really have much of one. They had people who knew him say that it was very unlike him and that he was obviously in a depressed state. On October 5th, 2018, Lauren's family and friends came to court, all wearing blue shirts that said Lauren's Light. They also wore purple ribbons with her photo on it for domestic violence. As far as people there to support Matt, no one showed up for him. Matt took a plea deal to committing first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. At this sentencing, he was able to speak to the family and friends of Lauren, and he said, "I feel like a monster. Part of the wretched, part of the darkness we don't speak of. This was a senseless, mindless act, and I regret every step that led me in that direction." His appearance was also extremely different. The normally clean-cut and shaven man was gone, and he now had long, stringy hair and a very shaggy beard. At the sentencing, her family was also able to speak to Matt. Her mom said that Lauren was beautiful inside and out. "The actions of Matthew James Phelps have forever changed me." Lauren's older sister, Beth Agner, said he was playing a game, a very deadly game. He was luring us in, taking advantage of our kindness and generosity. Lauren's father went on to say, "How could he do this to us when we treated him like a son? It does give me satisfaction knowing that your life is going to be very hard, every day a living hell." Speaking to Good Morning America, Lauren's father said he would never be able to forgive him for killing Lauren. The family also said that they feel like there were red flags that showed Lauren was possibly being abused, and they feel like it was their fault that they should have noticed the signs. But you can't go back and blame yourself for things like that. If they knew, then obviously they would not have let her be in that position. But yeah, this case really stood out to me because I remember exactly when it happened. I was also newly married and close in age, and so I felt like I could really relate to Lauren a lot, minus the bad husband part. My personal opinion about the whole thing is similar to the family's. I think he planned this out from the very beginning. He was clearly disturbed looking at his secret Instagram account. I don't know if you can access it now, but I could way back then. I tried to find it, but I couldn't, but it was very disturbing. Also, the things that he said to his neighbor, it just seems like he kept this dark side to himself hidden just so he could, like Lauren's sister said, lure them in. But I want to know what your guys' thoughts are. Do you think he planned it out from the beginning? What do you make of his mother's rude and weird behavior towards Lauren? Let's continue the chat down in the comments below. Thank you everyone so much for watching. If you haven't already and you're feeling like being nice, please go and like this video and subscribe so you don't miss other videos like it. Have a good day guys, and I will see you next time.